There are two different types of skill sets you need in order to get your first job in cybersecurity. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through the technical skills a newbie needs to learn in order to get their first shot at cyber. But I also want to talk about a different set of skills that often gets overlooked and, in my opinion, is equally as important. I call them your transferable skills. These are skills that you've built up over the years in your current and previous roles that are applicable to cybersecurity. I've worked closely with cybersecurity employers now for 6+ years, and most of them actually place a higher importance on these transferable skills than they do your technical skills. But you need both. Let me explain. Let's start with the technical skills. For someone just starting their journey into cybersecurity, let's say a career changer, it can be really confusing as to what certifications or what skills you need to do in order to get your first job. Firstly, there are so many misconceptions still to this day out there. Now we're seeing this less and less, but people still think you need to be an IT genius, have coding or programming skills to get into cybersecurity. Everyone's got that image of someone wearing a hood in a dark room with code dribbling down the back, and that's what you need to be in order to get into cybersecurity. That's not the case. It might have been 10 years ago, but the industry has developed then. It's not just a place for specialists. Now, whilst that area of cybersecurity does exist, it only makes up a small section of it, right? Cybersecurity has grown from what was a small game with only a few players on each side to a global battle. And everyone's a player whether you like it or not. Take example, one of the more recent attacks, Qantas. 6 million customers' data stolen. The known hacker group Scattered Spider infiltrated their way into Qantas's network by targeting unaware Qantas call center employees in Manila. This highlights the importance of everyone within your organization knowing about cybersecurity threats or being aware. Now, I'm not saying Qantas don't train their team in cybersecurity sufficiently. I'm sure that they do. But what I want to highlight here is the fact that specialists, people that have the skills, are targeting normal employees, less skilled employees that aren't cybersecurity aware. Cybersecurity is now a strength in numbers game. Companies need more people that know the basics well. So, what are the basics you need to learn in order to land your first job in cyber? I call them the fundamental 5. Now, the first two aren't the most exciting components to learn. They're definitely not the sexy part of cybersecurity, but they are very crucial. They're the fundamentals of IT. The first one being hardware. Basically anything, all the things you can see and physically touch. The second being software, right? The things that you can't see or touch, like operating systems, etc. The third one is networking, which is how you bring hardware and software together. The fourth is security, which is the protective blanket on top of the network. And the fifth one is analytics, how you report and analyze on the data. All right, so we've got hardware, software, networking, security, and analytics. I think it's important to have depth of knowledge in these areas of the basics as opposed to breadth of knowledge, which basically means you want to know a lot about the basics, a lot about a little, as opposed to a little about a lot. Now, knowing this stuff is important, but you also need to have the pieces of paper to back it up. In my opinion, having qualifications in cybersecurity in order to get your first job is a no-brainer. Many of the employers that we work with won't even look at an application unless you have certificates. There's literally software systems out there that scan resumes upon applications, and if you don't have certificates on your resume, you won't even make it through to the first stage of interviews. We've got a saying we use here a lot with our students at Cyber Revolution, and that is that the certificates will get you the interview wins you the job. So that wraps up the technical side of things, the technical skills. Let's move on to the transferable skills. These are the skills that you really need to highlight in your interview, but you have to make them applicable to cybersecurity. For example, if you're a tradie looking to get into cybersecurity, you can't walk into an interview and talk about the houses that you built and your carpentry skills. Talk about the fact over the past 10 years, you've gotten really good at solving complex problems, or that you're really good at working under high pressure environments. Give examples of these and make them applicable to cybersecurity again. This real world experience is your superpower. You need to highlight it. And it's what cybersecurity employers want. It's far easier to bring someone new into an organization that has these skills over someone who's never worked in a professional environment before, that might feel a little bit overwhelmed and nervous and intimidated. In fact, I had a chat the other day with one of our placement partners, a big cybersecurity employer. He loves hiring his entry-level staff from the retail space. His last hire that he did from us, the student previously worked at JB Hi-Fi. He said they've got great communication skills, specifically when dealing with customers on a day-to-day basis, complaints, distressed people, which is often the case when dealing with a cybersecurity client who's just been hacked, right? You're starting to see the correlations here. Let's walk through some other transferable skills. I mentioned problem solving earlier in the example of the tradesman. We had an example of a student recently who was a mechanic and then transitioned into an entry-level cybersecurity role. I'm doubling down on this one a bit because I think enjoying solving complex problems is a really big sign that cybersecurity might be for you. For example, this mechanic, he loved getting under the hood and figuring out what was going wrong with the car. He got loads of satisfaction from that. Unfortunately, his back didn't, his lower back, and so he had to make the change. The second one could be critical thinking or analytical thinking. You could be an accountant or in administration. We see that a lot. And you've got a background or years and years of experience of reconciling accounts, identifying irregularities, ensuring companies are compliant, whatever it might be. This next one is more of a trait rather than a skill, but it's definitely worth mentioning, and it's empathy. Over the years, we have helped so many nurses, childcare workers, aged care workers get into cybersecurity. And I think what drives them and makes them great is the fact they genuinely care about people. So there you have it. We've gone through the initial technical skills you need to learn and some of the transferable skills you might already have to get into cybersecurity. Now, just so you're aware, once you actually get into cybersecurity, the learning is not done, not by a long way. You will obviously learn on the job by doing the thing, but you will also have to do multiple credentials each year. Almost for the first 5 years, you have to do micro credentials. The plus side is in cybersecurity, you get paid for the skills that you have. So the more training and certifications you do, the more you get paid, and your employer pays for that training typically. So if you like learning new skills, you'll love cyber. On the flip side, if you don't, if you look at that as a bit of a punish, you will not enjoy cybersecurity, I can guarantee it. Thanks for watching, everyone. See you in the next video.